So yeah, we're not doing a lot of database design. It would make it easier to do the labs. I encourage you, if you find this even a little bit interesting, I don't know what choices that you have, but yeah, definitely do that, the relational database courses there. To me, it's some of the most fun part of programming, because, you know, with very little effort from you, you can get pretty nice results coming out of the system. SQL is really kind of fun to work with, I think. But anyway, so but the starting point of SQL, which we haven't really sort of covered a lot, is actually getting that design right. And that's why we see here that we have these categories, but the orders needs to be sort of subdivided out, because there would have been redundancy in the records, which would have broken the rules that we have for our efficient database design. And now the thing about relationships, I said I wasn't going to go through this, but you know what? I think I might just go through it a little bit anyways, yeah. But the relationships, those are done by the key fields in the tables. I hope I sort of explained that last time, but you have a primary key and you have a foreign key. And a foreign key, what it does is it points to another table. That's very important for Lab 3, because in Lab 3, we join tables. You join tables by having a foreign key set equal to a primary key. Foreign key in one table set equal to a primary key in another table. So there's the stuff. When we say, we use the word categories here, what that's referring to, it means the things about which we keep data. Another word that we would use for those, if we were doing database design, we would call them entities. And entities have attributes. So the things on which we're storing data are these things: sales reps, customers, parts, and orders. The attributes is what we call it, the things about the things that we store about them. Those are called attributes. So for example, for the sales rep, for the entity sales rep, the attributes, the things that we would store about the sales rep, would be those things there: the sales rep number, which is a primary key, and these other things. For customer, the attributes that we store about the customer would be these things there. And notice that this last thing there, why do we store the sales rep number with the customer? Well, that's because every customer is represented by a sales rep. Otherwise, how could they be a customer? That's just the business model. Now, I use that word business model there. It's very important. When we go designing databases and using databases, we do it according to the business rules, the rules of the business. So that's where this comes from. That's the starting point of all of our computer systems, really, but particularly with database systems, is we need to go to the business rules. So we need a business analyst to sort of have a look at what data needs to be stored, about what things. So in other words, get an idea of our entities and our attributes, and then what is the relationships between that data, and how has that data worked. So this would create a relationship between the customer table and the sales rep table, because the customer table has a foreign key in it, which would point back to the sales rep table. The parts table, again, there's a key field there. That's an attribute, remember? So if we refer to the parts as an entity, then the attribute there, the key field, is a part number. And then there's a lot of stuff that we store about parts. This is a report. We would call this a report, right? And if you see there, there's information that is coming from various parts of the database. In order to produce this report, you would have to gather data from, well, as it shows, order lines. So that's important, right? Each order, this here is about a particular order, and this particular order, so how do we know it's a particular order? It's going to have an order number right at the top. This particular order has more than one part. That's why we needed to separate out the order line table. So the total extensions, that's actually calculated from the price multiplied by the ordered number. So we don't have to store in our primary tables. We don't have to store this total. That only is going to be calculated and then stored when we actually create an order. Yeah, so the idea, I think, there is about the order. The order is a report. Reports are made out of SQL. In the last thing that we studied, we did HTML. If you studied, go a bit further in your studies, study a bit more HTML, study JavaScript, study PHP. You could be designing very nice little reports on SQL databases running over the internet. So that would be kind of nice, I think. Okay, so then there's some other, I'm not going to go through each one of what is just showing you here is basically to familiarize yourself with all of the tables that we have in this database. So this stuff here, we've really sort of, that would be related to our first lab that you've done, which was the create tables. And so we created those tables, and that PowerPoint there sort of relates to it. Now, if you went back, okay, so I should go here rather than going to the contents. It's easier because I have a link here, right? So that was our first one. Chapter 2, I'm sure you guessed what that's going to be about. That's going to be starting to do some queries, no doubt, I think. Let's see. Quickly, I want to do this quickly because in a minute we'll break and go to the others. Oh, okay, that's still about creating the tables. So I'm not going to go through that too much. You know, all of that is stuff that we've done, right? But you can use this as a nice reference to go back and check on that later. So as I said, I won't go through the creating tables. We've done that in a lab. I hope you got an idea how to do that now. So I'm hoping chapter 3 and chapter 4 here, I think it is about the kinds of queries that we're doing. So have a quick look on that. Single table queries. This corresponds with lab 2. Lab 2 was single table queries. And so that's a nice thing to refer back to. Notice some of the commands, the operators that we've used these between, like, in, all of those things we did in those 17 commands that we had to create for that to answer lab 2. So again, I'm not going to go through that too much. Here's some interesting thing, but the idea about the rows and the columns, right? We select the rows. We select the columns. Select column, or you can select all the columns, and then we use the where clause to filter the rows. So if we don't use a where, we just get all the rows. Absolutely, if we start doing joins and tables, then we have to make sure that we've got a where clause in there. And so there's the where clause. As it says it retrieves the rows. I think a better way of looking at it is it filters the rows so that we only get the rows that we want. Because without a where clause, we'll get all the rows. And yeah, so there's some. So it limits the output in rows to meet a particular condition. So that's what the where is, where we have this particular condition. That's the where clause. Where clause controls the number of rows that are going to be produced. So all of that stuff we talked about yesterday. I'm not going to go through all of that. So not yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. So that's there. Now today, our last sort of lab, and you only got 3 labs, so that's good news. So
Sir,
bear with me. Yes.
sir, should we study from this chapter for tomorrow exam?
I think so. Yes. So that's why I'm showing it to you. I would study from this, right? So the inner join operations. There's 3 kinds of joins. There's an inner join, there's a right join, and there's a left join. Right join and left join, we're not going to use them because what happens with the right join is the second table, we get all of the results of the second table, but you can end up with a record that has a missing field value. And so we would use that only in special cases. So for our purposes, we don't need to use, this is the last lab we're going to do today. For our purposes, we don't need to use left or right join. We can just use inner join. By the way, if you just set a where clause where you set the primary key of one table to the foreign key of the other table, that's going to be by default an inner join. Okay, so joining 2 tables. We join the two tables using it's going to happen in the where clause. You'll see that. Here's our example, right? So what we're doing here with this equal here, we're taking, now the other thing is we use notice the problem that we have here is that the rep number, the exact same name is used for a field in two different tables. So how do we differentiate them? How do we tell one from the other? So what we can do is we can add to the name of the field the table where it came from. So what this means is from the customer table, the rep number in the customer table has to be equal to the rep number in the rep table. That's what that means. And we do that. Now you can use aliases with that. Maybe if we have time, I'll show you that also. All right, so here's another example. Now notice also the other thing is the standard format of our select statement. What we do is we select all the columns that we want to be shown in the output. And then we select the table or tables from which the data is being drawn. Now, if the data is being drawn from more than one table, then we have to specify both tables there. And then probably we're going to have to do the join. Here's a join. We haven't used the word join, and I won't actually be requiring you to use the word join. You can just do your joins just like that. So what's happening here is we're getting all the customer details, all these customer details from customers where the credit limit is 7,500. And if you went and checked all these, actually it would probably be a good idea, as I said, just as a verification to add an extra field on the end of that command to actually see that you got the 7,500. I mean, that's kind of how I would do it. All right, so here's another one, joining two tables. So what we see is they both have a field which must have the same data in it. Now these fields that we're making them equal when we do the join, the part number from the part table and the part number from the order line table, they must be the same format and they must have the same data in them. Otherwise the join won't work. So that's kind of an important one to sort of keep in mind. So again, anytime where we have to get data from more than one table, we're going to have to do a join. And it's quite possible that we have to do more than one join. And so let's go and have a look now at so lab 3 is this one here. And maybe I could just make it. Sorry, my computer is a bit slow. Sorry about that. Okay, let's make that a bit bigger. Oh, I don't know, I'm sure you can see it. Yeah, and things do work differently when I've got Zoom going. I noticed that. Okay. Oh, look at that. When I touched the plus before, it wouldn't do anything, but now it is. And now, of course, it went over. All right, so we've got these things. For each order, list the order number and the order date, along with the number and the name of the customer that placed the order. Now, the problem with this is we're getting data from two tables, and we could check that by looking at our tables when we, and to do this, I will have to sort of pull up our SQL, won't I? So let's get our SQL Lite going, and let's, now, remember, every time I start this, I have to choose the type of database that I want to connect to. I'm going to connect to an MSQL database. And you know what? It hasn't saved any of my work from last time. So I am going to have to go and get that. So hopefully I've got that here somewhere. Oh, there we go. All right. So create tables. That'll do. Open that. I'm hoping that instead I got an error opening it. So imagine that. And select all of that, and I'm going to copy it. I think I'm going to copy it. What? So let me. I'm in the wrong menu, aren't I? Do that again. Select all. Copy. And let's go back to my SQL Lite and see if I can paste that in there and see what happens. All right. I don't have any errors. So yeah, now I've got my tables going. The point I was making here, if we look at our command, don't need this anymore. If we look at our command there, what we've got is it's saying that for each order, the order number and the order date, that must come from the order table, along with the number and the name of the customer. Now, the problem is that the only place where the name of the customer occurs is in the customer table, whereas the order table has it has customer number, but it doesn't have customer name. So I have to join the two tables to make this work. The only way I'm going to get the customer name and the order details, what does it want? What's the order number and the order date? The date of the order in the same record is, the same output is that I'm going to have to join those two tables. So let's do that. This is our first join that we've sort of done. So you guys don't, I think that you guys, because I'm hosting this, I don't know, but I hope it's not so bad for you guys, but Zoom just makes a total mess of my page. Anyway, so okay, so I'm going to get rid of all of that. And right, so I'm going to, well, let's just see, right? Select, what does it want? It wants the order number, order date, along with the number and the name of the customer. All right, so order num, there's order num, order date, there's order date, and the customer number and customer name. Now I probably need to say, I think I'm going to use the customer number is going to be used to join the two tables, because that's the thing which is the same in both tables. It's a customer number. So I'm going to have to probably say when I do the select, which customer number I'm going to display. So for each order the order date, the number, and the name of the customer, and the place order. So it does actually, it doesn't even, does it actually ask for the name? No, yes, it does ask for the number. So here I'm going to be a bit, try and save a bit of space. I'm going to call it C customer number, right? And so watch how I'm doing this. I'm going to say from customer C. That means that I'm using C as an alias for customer. And from orders, O. And so not order line, orders O. All right. Oh, doesn't like that, right? So do something like that. I'll call it OL, because so it doesn't sort of just automatically pick up that other thing. Where, so now I do C dot customer number. C dot customer number is equal to OL dot customer number. And so as a result of this, so OL is now being used for orders. And that should do our job for us, inshallah. Multi-part. So of course I got an error. The multi-part identifier customer number could not be bound. Oh, because I didn't put a C in front of it. How did I do that? So that gives the, yeah, sorry, yeah, it is kind of small. And don't see small things so well. All right, so that's the first one. Let's keep going. Let's do a few more. For each order placed, oh, we were supposed to get the date. Did we get the date on that? Yeah, we did. All right, for each orders placed on that date, this is the order number along with the number of the name of the customer. So it's the same query, but the difference is that order number along with the, yeah, so it's the same query, but in this one, we've just got, and we've added, so that this was number one. I'm just done number one. Number two is this thing here, where we say it's the same as that above, but the other thing that we do is we specify the date and it's equal to, remember that we have to sort of do it in the format that it is. I hope that will work. On the only thing I'm worried about there is the format. Yeah, that worked. So that just narrowed it down. So we added another filter. Remember, the where is the filter? The where is the filter, and we added another filter so that we only get the date that we want. So what are we doing here? We're getting data from more than one table. I've made it a little bit faster or easier to work with by using some aliases there, C and OL. Yeah. Anyways, you could have used the term as between. Remember that we did that for aliases, but I was trying to really do a shortcut. Okay, so for each order, list the order number, or the same stuff, right? But now we want the part number, number of units ordered, quoted price for each order that makes up the. Okay, so we would really need to have a look at the order and see if number of units ordered and quoted price for each order line that makes up an order. Wow, that's the order and the order line. Yeah, so this time we're going to do the order number. Does it need the date? Order date. Yeah. So we got part number, number of units ordered, order date. So we don't have any customer stuff this time, but we're going to do part number, and we're going to do, what's the other one? Part number, number of units ordered. I'm not sure where that is. Where's the number of units ordered? Num ordered, yeah, there is. How about that? It's in the order line table. Number of units ordered and the quoted price. So quoted price is probably just price. Yep. So we got those: order number, order date, part number, num ordered, and price. For each order that makes it. All right. So the thing is that we're going to get the order number is going to be used to link the order table with the order line table. So I'm going to call this OR, I guess. OR dot. And here we'll get rid of this. Oh, man, I can call it OL because I already got an OL, right? OL. And instead of customer, we're going to have order line. Order line. And what will I call that? Oh, that should have been, OL is more natural for order line, right? So let's call this one ON. And this one, no, that's a reserved word, right? ORS, ORL, and this one OR. So you have to have some kind of unique sort of thing. So now we got our OR, and now the thing is that the things that we're going to set to be the same is going to be OL dot order number. Yeah, there it is. It must be taken equal to ORL dot order number. So that sets the join. What else do we need in that? Number of units ordered. I think that's it. So we don't need to specify that it's an inner join or a right join or a left join. It is an inner join, but by default, it will work that way for us. It should work, I hope. See? Oh, of course I got something wrong. Okay, so something wrong with the price.
Sir, I think it should be coded price, which is in the order line table.
There isn't a price in the order line table? Okay. Is there a
No,
quoted
it's
price?
called coded price.
Very good, thank you. Let's try that. And it even did say quoted price. So there we go. I thought it was price. So gosh. Oh. There we go. don't have enough room on my screen to. So there we go. So we did the join, and I think that's working out okay. We got our quote, etc. Look at the next one. For each order, list the order number, order date, part number, part description, and item class for each part that makes up the order. So, okay, so this time we need to do is for each order, it's the order number, the order date, the part number, and part description. They have to come from the part description has to come from the part table, and item class probably comes from the part table as well. So it looks like we're going to have to join 3 tables together here. So we're going to, and I am running out of time, right? So let's just get the items that we want to select here. Order date, part number, we need part description. We don't need number ordered, we need part description. Part description. Oh, doesn't show it there because, well, why? It was just description, right? It's not called part description, it's called description. Item class. Now, I'm not sure. I think I just called that class, and I'm not sure which table it was in. It was in part table. Thank God for that. So we know where that is. So, so the part number is from the part table, and yeah, but the part number also shows up in the order line table. We do need to join the orders to get that. And we're going to need the other table there, which is going to be the part table P. And so we're going to have those joined. But the other thing that we're going to join is going to be the parts table. P dot part number is going to have to be equal to the part number in the order line table, which is OL dot part number. So I see. Okay, so again, part num, ambiguous. All right, so good example there. We're trying to display the part number, but we didn't say which table it came from. Doesn't matter which one we use, but we have to put the name of a table in front of it before we can display it. Okay, and so that gives us, I think, did that give us all of our data? I think so. It was, yeah, so we got our order number, our order date, our part number, and description, plus, so annoying, plus the class. So that's all there. All right, that was number 4. Number 5, repeat the exercise, but this time the number of order the rows by item class. So all you have to do for that is take off the semicolon on the end of that and do an order by, not orders, but order by class. So as we see, before we do the command, they're all mixed up. Hardware, AP, I guess HW is hardware, SG. But when I run the order by, they should be sorted, and they are. So the APs are all first, then the HW, then the SG. So that one's working. Number 5, 2 more to go. The rep number, last name, and first name of each sales representative who represents at least one customer with a credit limit of 10,000. Well, that's kind of a mouthful, isn't it? But just to spend a short time here before we move on, what was kind of cool about number 5 is we actually joined 3 tables together. We had to join 3 tables together to get the information that we wanted. Now, with rep number, we don't have any orders. It's just, this is just 2 tables, which is the rep table and the customer table. So I'm just going to do that. So what we need is rep num. Select rep num, and so I'm going to say which rep num too. Which one? Oh, wait a sec. Last name. So yeah, where's last name? That's from the sales rep table. That'll work. Yeah, okay. And first name. So that also comes from the sales rep table. That's good. Yes, I think was from the first. Let me just check. Yeah, that's sales rep table, so that's fine. For each sales rep who represents at least one customer with a credit limit of more than 10,000. One customer with a credit limit of more than 1,000. Okay, so we might have to do a how you call this, a sub-select statement where we select, yeah, so where, okay, so we're just getting those things. That's it from the customer, right? The customer has a credit limit. Okay. Well, let's see if we can do it without a sub-select. So what we'd want to do is, we need a from sales rep and customer, and let's do sales rep S and customer C, and when we do this, it's going to be S and sales rep customer C, where S dot sales rep what do you do? Oh, goodness gracious, there's so many of them. Oh, what was rep number, right? Okay, rep number, or sales dot rep number is equal to customer dot rep number. Rep number, the last one. So the other thing is, and credit limit is bigger than 10,000, bigger than or equal to. Okay, so of course I got the thing, so I got a incorrect near the dot. I put a dot somewhere. Okay, so right here, there's a dot, which shouldn't be there. It's supposed to be a comma. And I got another one right after the and. Can you guys see my error? Credit limit.
And the from.
No comma. Oh yes, that's the dot that you're talking about. Yeah, S customer. Sales rep S. Shouldn't be a dot, should be a comma. Good. I still got invalid column name last name. Well, it started out being okay, but I messed it about. Last name. There we go. So now it's working. These are all the ones that have a credit limit more than 10,000 apparently. Perhaps what we should do is just to check, we should actually check on the credit limit as well as a verification. Yeah, and they all have credit limit more than that. So that's number 6. The last one's 7. I think we're going to kind of run out of time. Do we have time? Yeah, maybe. List the order number and the order date for each order placed by a customer named Johnson's Department Store. Okay, so the thing is, we got a customer who's linked to an order. I think this might be another 3 tables together, right? So we don't need the sales rep. We don't need any of that stuff, but we need order number, and order date, and well, it only asks for each or for those, all right? So it only asks for the order number and the order date, but okay, from. So let's do the O dot, and this one will be from orders and from customers, where the O order number, hold on. Actually, it's the customer number that we need. So this is okay. We don't need to dot that one. So where O customer number, there's a customer number in the order, right? I think so. Is there one in the order? Customer number in the customer. Let's look at the order. Yeah, customer numbers in the order. So order oh, well, I haven't given the alias. So where order customer number, there it is. Yeah. Yep, fine. Is equal